Welcome to a deep dive into an automotive milestone that forever changed how we traveled. In 1951, the Nash Ambassador didn't just offer a smooth ride. It introduced the world to the first truly affordable and integrated car air conditioning system. While competitors were experimenting with bulky, expensive trunk-mounted units, Nash Motors was busy engineering a solution that would bring climate control to the masses. This was the birth of the all-weather eye, a name that would become synonymous with comfort. Today, we look at how this underdog of the American auto industry outmaneuvered the giants in Detroit by making luxury living accessible on four wheels. The 1951 Nash Ambassador was more than a car. It was a mobile sanctuary from the sweltering heat of the mid-century summer.
The post-Worldwide U era was a time of radical change. As the American middle class grew, so did the demand for sophisticated features. Nash Motors, led by George Mason, knew they couldn't compete with the big three on scale alone, so they competed on innovation. They leaned into aerodynamics and unitized body construction. While Ford and GM were sticking to traditional designs, Nash was testing wind tunnels and rethinking the very architecture of the automobile. This spirit of doing things differently is what paved the way for the integrated cooling system. They realized that comfort wasn't just about soft seats, it was about the air the passengers breathed. The 1951 Ambassador was the culmination of this post-war drive to provide premium features at a non-premium price point.
The story of Nash air conditioning actually begins in the late 1930s with the original Weather Eye. This was a revolutionary heating and ventilation system introduced in 1937. It was the first to use a fresh air intake located at the base of the windshield, filtered and then heated by a thermostatically controlled core. Before this, most car heaters just recirculated stale, dusty cabin air. Nash engineers understood that controlling the cabin environment was a multi-step process: filtration, temperature regulation, and airflow. By the time 1951 rolled around, they had perfected the heating and ventilation side of the equation, making the addition of a cooling compressor the logical next step in the Weather Eye evolution.
In the early 1950s, if you wanted air conditioning in a car, you usually looked at Chrysler or Packard. However, their systems were cumbersome. They featured massive evaporators and blowers mounted in the trunk, requiring long plastic tubes to run along the ceiling to deliver cool air to the passengers. This setup was heavy, took up nearly half the luggage space, and was incredibly expensive. Nash saw a better way. They challenged their engineering team to move the entire system forward. By integrating the cooling components into the existing engine bay and dashboard architecture, they eliminated the need for trunk-mounted hardware. This was the breakthrough that allowed for a more efficient, lighter, and ultimately more affordable cooling solution.
The 1951 All-Weather Eye was an engineering marvel. It combined the heater, the fresh air intake, and the air conditioning evaporator into a single compact unit located under the dash. The compressor was mounted on the engine, driven by a belt just like modern cars today. This integration meant that for the first time, a driver could switch from heating to cooling with simple dashboard controls. It used a single blower for both systems, which significantly reduced the electrical load and mechanical complexity. This was the first combined system that resembles the HVAC units we find in every modern vehicle today. Nash engineers had successfully miniaturized a technology that previously required a commercial-sized installation. One of the most staggering facts about the 1951 Nash Ambassador was its price tag for the air conditioning option. At a time when luxury cooling systems from other manufacturers could cost over $700, Nash offered the All-Weather Eye for approximately $395. That was nearly half the price of the competition. By making the system integrated during the assembly process rather than an aftermarket-style add-on, Nash achieved massive economies of scale. This pricing strategy brought air conditioning out of the realm of the ultra-wealthy and into the hands of the professional class. It was a democratization of comfort that forced the entire industry to rethink their pricing structures and manufacturing processes. The effectiveness of the Nash cooling system was enhanced by the car's unique air-flight body design. The 1951 Ambassador featured a highly aerodynamic shape with enclosed fenders and a smooth, curved silhouette. This design wasn't just for looks. It reduced wind resistance and improved the efficiency of the engine.
A more efficient engine meant that the additional load from the AC compressor had less of an impact on overall performance and fuel economy compared to the boxy, heavy cars of the era. Furthermore, the Nash's superior insulation, required for its high-end heating system, worked perfectly to keep the cool air inside during the summer. The car was literally built to maintain its internal climate.
Stepping inside a 1951 Nash Ambassador was like entering a different world. While outside temperatures might be soaring, the cabin remained a crisp, cool 70 degrees. The dashboard featured elegant controls for the all-weather eye, allowing the driver to fine-tune the temperature and humidity. Unlike the ceiling-mounted vents of competitors that would blow cold air directly onto the passengers' heads, the Nash system used strategically placed vents that circulated air throughout the cabin more naturally. Coupled with Nash's famous revolving seats that could turn into a bed, the Ambassador became the ultimate long-distance cruiser. It wasn't just about getting to your destination. It was about arriving refreshed and cool.
Nash's success with the 1951 Ambassador sent shockwaves through Detroit. The Big Three, General Motors, Ford, and Chrysler, could no longer treat air conditioning as a niche, high-priced luxury for a handful of customers. Nash proved that there was a massive market for integrated, affordable climate control. Within a few years, Cadillac, Oldsmobile, and Pontiac were all racing to develop their own integrated front-mounted systems. The 1951 Nash Ambassador essentially set the blueprint for the modern automotive HVAC system. It forced a shift in industry standards, moving away from add-on units towards holistic vehicle design where heating and cooling were considered from the very first sketch.
Today, we take car air conditioning for granted. We push a button and expect instant comfort. But we owe that expectation to the pioneering work of Nash Motors and the 1951 Ambassador. By integrating the all-weather eye and pricing it for the average professional, Nash changed the car from a simple transport machine into a climate-controlled environment. The 1951 Ambassador remains a highly sought-after classic, not just for its unique air flight styling, but for its role as a technological trailblazer. It stands as a testament to the idea that innovation doesn't always come from the biggest player. It comes from the one willing to rethink the status quo. Thank you for joining us on this journey through automotive history.